Hello friends, you are watching 3A's Vision, an innovative distance learning channel. We have started a series of videos about international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards, followed one by one. It is most important and desired that if you are interested in improving your learnings in international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards, subscribe to our channel and click on bell icon to get our future updates. Dear friends, in preparation of IFRS 1 video, we tried our level best to cover the maximum matter of discussion, which will be helpful to understand the IFRS 1. Therefore, keeping in view length of this video, we have split up the video of this standard in different parts to control its time length. Therefore, to get complete knowledge, watch its all parts. In part 2nd of IFRS 1 videos, we will discuss about mandatory exceptions of third main element of IFRS 1, that is specific exceptions and exemptions, and the remaining parts of this element of IFRS 1 will be discussed in next parts of the video. The most important element of IFRS 1, that is specific exceptions and exemptions, focusing on key elements issues. First of all, mandatory exceptions. There are 4 main exceptions which we discuss here in detail, that are number 1, accounting estimates, number 2, derecognition of financial assets and liabilities, number 3, hedge accounting, and lastly number 4, non-controlling interests. First of all, accounting estimates. Accounting estimates required under IFRS that were made under previous generally accepted accounting principle may not be adjusted on transition except to reflect differences in accounting policies or unless there is objective evidence that the estimates were in error. Primary objective of this exception is to prevent entities using the benefit of hindsight to adjust estimates based on circumstances and information which were not available when the amounts were originally estimated under previous GAAP. When restarting previous GAAP amounts for the purpose of its opening IFRS statements of financial position, an entity may have information available that was not available at the time the estimate was made. This information is treated as non-adjusting, that is, the amounts recognized are not adjusted. Secondly, derecognition of financial assets and financial liabilities. A first-time adopter is required to apply the derecognition rules in IAS 39, Financial Instrument Recognitions and Measurement, prospectively from 1st January 2004, unless it chooses to apply the derecognition rule of IAS 39 retrospectively from a date of its choosing. Notwithstanding the requirement to apply IAS 39's rules on derecognition prospectively from 1st January 2004, an entity may opt to apply them retrospectively from a date of its own choosing, provided that the information needed to apply International Accounting Standard 39 to financial assets and financial liabilities derecognized as a result of past transactions was obtained at the time of the initial accounting for those transactions. The third exception, hedge accounting. A first-time adopter is required in its opening IFRS statement of financial positions to measure all derivatives at fair value and eliminate all deferred gains and losses arising on derivatives that were reported under previous generally accepted accounting principles as assets and liabilities. The hedging relationship will only qualify for hedge accounting at the date of transition if the hedging relationship has been fully designated and documented as effective in accordance with the International Accounting Standard 39 on or before the date of transition and is of a type that qualifies for hedge accounting under IAS 39. Designation of a hedging relationship cannot be made retrospectively. For a first-time adopter, this may be a significant change from previous GAAP, which may not have required such rigorous hedge designation and documentation. Hedge accounting under IAS 39 and therefore on first-time adoption can be applied prospectively only from the date that the hedge relationship is fully designated and documented, subject to all other hedge accounting requirements of IAS 39 being met. However, if an entity designates a net position as a hedged item under previous GAAP, it may designate an individual item within that net position as a hedged item, provided that the designation is made by the date of transition. Hedging relationships that were designated as hedges under previous GAAP but which do not qualify for hedge accounting under IAS 39 are treated in accordance with the requirements of IAS 39 relating to the discontinuation of hedge accounting. Under previous GAAP, gains and losses on a cash flow hedge of a forecast transaction may have been deferred in equity if at the date of transition the transaction is still highly probable and the hedging relationship was designated appropriately and documented as effective. Hedge accounting may be continued in accordance with IAS 39 if the forecast transaction is not highly probable but is still expected to occur. The entire deferred gain or loss remains in equity until the forecast transaction occurs. Fourth mandatory exception, that is non-controlling interests. This exception applies for entities that have adopted the 2008 amendments to IFRS 3 business combinations and International Accounting Standards 27 consolidated and separate financial statements. These amendments introduced new measurement requirements for non-controlling interests and a new mandatory exception to IFRS 1. The exception stipulates that a first-time adopter should apply the following requirements of IAS 27/2008 prospectively from the date of the transition to IFRSs. The requirement that total comprehensive income be attributed to the owners of the parent and the non-controlling interests, even if they result in the non-controlling interests having a deficit balance. The requirements regarding the accounting for changes in the parent's ownership interest in a subsidiary and that do not result in a loss of control, and the requirements regarding the accounting for a loss of control over a subsidiary and the related requirements in IFRS 5, that is non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. This exception is effective for annual periods beginning on or after 1st July 2009. However, if a first-time adopter elects to apply IFRS 3 2008 and IAS 27 2008 for an early period, the amendments to IFRS 1 should also be applied for the earlier period. In part 3rd of IFRS 1 video, we will discuss about optional exemptions of third main element of IFRS 1, that is specific exceptions and exemptions.